Kalia hummed a soft tune as she walked up the hill from the village market, a basket heavy with fruit, meat, and other goods her grandmother had asked for. All of it mattered. Tomorrow her little brother would turn 7. They were preparing a small feast, as tradition demanded. She kept humming, thinking about the wooden figurines she had carved from little Teblin, when a deafening boom split the air, nearly knocking her off her feet. She stumbled, caught herself and turned, eyes lifting towards the source. There, a crimson comet, burning so fiercely it dimmed the sun, tore across the sky, trailing a black smoke towards the mountainside. The very mountain her village rested on. Some people screamed, some ran. Kalia stood frozen, her mind unable to grasp what she was seeing. The comet roared overhead, a violent shockwave throwing her to the ground. The basket spilled, fruit and meat scattering, but her eyes never left the blazing shape above. The burning corpse of a marrow drinker struck the mountain and detonated with a city-killing force. There was no city here, so the mountain itself shattered, unleashing fire and destruction in all directions, including the small village of Katrana. Kalia watched in silent horror as the wave of fire rushed toward her, and then she was no more. The shockwave was visible from space. Stormhammer stared down through the bridge floor, its illusion of open vacuum revealing the devastation below. Crafted by the Earthcast, the effect was near perfect, walls reduced to faint outlines, the void and the world beneath laid bare in striking clarity. He saw everything. Orbital fire rained from his fleet onto marked targets, while scattered anti-orbital guns, answered in vain, quickly silenced or forced to raise shields and cease fire. Yet nothing compared to the impact of the marrow drinker. He grimaced as the clouds were driven back by the expanding shockwave, a crimson fireball burned at its heart, a towering column of smoke rising as forests ignited across the land. "You are troubled." The melodic voice of Ansun Ho reached him. He turned. The ethereal sat at the rear of a bridge, a hot cup of tea by her side. He bowed, making a sign of contrition. "Forgive me, teacher, but I fail to see why we allowed this," he said, glancing back at the destruction. "We could have prevented it." "Perhaps," she replied calmly, "but the Tauva teaches us when to act and when to remain still, Koro. The destruction wrought by the marrow drinker will benefit us more than its prevention." Stormhammer looked back at her, uncertain. He signed contrition again, followed by the sign of a cracked egg. "I do not see how this serves us, wise teacher. Is it not our duty to safeguard those we can?" She answered with a sign of a tree cut to build a home. "The people of this galaxy know nothing of true war, nor the sacrifice it demands," she said. "We could pretend to shield them from all harm, but that is impossible. They must learn that even we cannot prevent all loss." Her gaze shifted toward the burning spot on the planet below. "More importantly, the martyrs of this tragedy will inspire those who hear the tale. It was the vicious Ravax who cast his own ship upon the planet, not the Tau. She made the sign of a worthy sacrifice. Do not be troubled, brother of air. In their deaths they will give others purpose, to walk the one path. Stormhammer blinked, then bowed his head. I believe I begin to understand, Mentor, he said, looking again at the expanding devastation, now overlaid with markers of villages already lost, or soon to be if the fires spread unchecked. The sacrifice of a few will inspire the many. Indeed, Koro Isfamang. Aun Sun Ho nodded. Commence the next phase and dispatch task force to deal with the Lucre Hulk. Her attention shifted to distant debris, the shattered remains of Pride of Commerce breaking into a swarm of burning fragments, descending toward the surface. After all, it is our duty to protect those less fortunate than ourselves. Stormhammer bowed deeply. By your will, Great Aun, it will be done. He turned to his crew. Launch Tiger Sharks to intercept the wreckage. Prepare Sunburst bombardment. In moments, Tiger Sharks were launched, and the entire armada lined up in formation, ready to commence the bombardment at his command. Sif spit! Kong cursed, ears ringing as the shockwave rolled over his city and fortress. On the distant horizon, a massive mushroom cloud clouded its way into the heavens. The smoke was thick, oily, sickening to behold, like the black scar the Marrow Drinker had carved into his sky. He spun towards the command room. Report! What's our status? They hit over a dozen bastions outside the city. Marshal Silver Korat snapped, his face twisted with anger. Our anti-orbital turbolasers and ion cannons are barely effective. They screen smaller ships with larger ones, and they are jamming our targeting sensors. He spat in frustration. Our starfighters are engaging in low orbit, but they can't reach the capital ships. Not good. Not even close. Any response from our allies? Kong demanded. Is anyone sending relief? Has the Senate at least demanded the Tau cease their attack? No response yet, though it's worth noting the Tau aren't blocking our communications. Korat said. They could cut us off completely, but they haven't. Because they don't need to, Kong growled. They crushed our armada in no time. Now they intend to do the same to the army. He still couldn't believe how quickly his defenses had fallen, or the sheer audacity of attack. Then they will fail, Korat said firmly. Tauntum's geothermal generators are top of the line, as are our shields. They will hold for months, even under constant bombardment. But do we have enough troops? Kong snapped. Their forces can walk through the shields. Can we stop them? We have over 500,000 droids in and around the city, more than the population itself. Korat replied, his composure returning. And with Ravax landing his remaining forces, we have his elites, and Rancor as well. Add that our fortifications, hundreds of hardpoints, turrets, sniper nests, with shields active, their hover tanks can't push in. He allowed himself a confident nod. It will take months for the Tau to breach us, more than enough time for our allies to regroup, and for the Senate to force them out. Kong exhaled slowly. Yes, that sounds right. A faint smile crept onto his face as he looked skyward. When those stupid blueskins try to descend, He screamed as the blinding light engulfed the sky, brighter than the sun itself. Staggering back in the command room, he heard others crying out. He tried to blink, but his vision swam with burning afterimages and swirling black spots. What in the Sith hell was that? He gasped, struggling upright, when another series of flashes burst through the windows. Close the shutters! No! The fortress obeyed. Shutters slammed down, sealing the room. Lights flickered on, dimmed at his order, and slowly, painfully, vision returned. Kong staggered to the tactical table. The display was a warped mess of distortion. What is happening? He coughed. Someone answer me! Some kind of bombardment, an officer reported. The fleet launched something, intense light, EMP waves, multiple radiation signatures. It's scrambling all sensors and targeting systems. He swallowed. The shields are blocking the worst, but our communications are down. I can't reach anything outside. Kong cursed under his breath and kicked a chair aside. Blast it! Another trick, damnable Tau! He clenched his jaw. Re-establish communications with all forces outside the city and get every unit ready. They will use this to deploy troops. We will not make it easy for them. You can count on me, Governor, Korat said, already barking orders across the room. Kong stood in silence, watching the frantic coordination, eyes fixed on the flickering, holographic display. Then the bombardment stopped. Moments later, communications returned. The map lit up in crimson. Alarms screamed. They were everywhere. Nearly every settlement, village and strongpoint beyond Town, every unshielded location was under attack. Kong's voice trembled in disbelief. What is happening? How are they already on the ground? It's not the Tau, sir, it's the rebels! An officer shouted. Coordinated strikes hit critical infrastructure and bases the moment the bombardment began. Kong's eyes widened, his face twisting with hatred. Kira's soul, he hissed. She joined forces with the Tau to overthrow me. That damnable witch! He turned sharply to Korad. We must send strike forces to relieve those positions immediately! We can try, Korad said, shaking his head as he pointed to the hologram. But it won't be enough. New contacts flooded the display. Enemy transports descending in vast numbers like a swarm. What happened to our starfighters? Kong demanded. The bombardment blinded or disabled any caught in it. Those outside its range were destroyed by the Tau. Korat replied. Now they have air and orbital superiority. He gestured to the descending craft. The reinforcements will reach the rebels far faster than our ground forces. At best, we can push to nearby strongpoints and cover a retreat behind the shield. Kong grimaced as more Tau ships broke through the atmosphere. "Do it," he ordered. "Have nearby fortresses attempt to break out toward the city. It seems we are facing a proper siege." He turned toward the sealed windows. "Shutters up!" Light flooded back into the room. Kong stepped forward, gazing out over his city. In the distance, skirmishes flickered to life. Tau transports descended almost unchallenged. No starfighters, barely any anti-air fire. The bombardment had blinded gunners and crippled their systems. He looked on, jaw clenched, wishing all the Tau who descended upon his world that they would die cold and alone in the ground wetted by the blood of their kin and the rebels alike. Strong Strike fought down the wave of vertigo as the Orca plunged through the atmosphere at assault speed. With the sunburst bombardment over, time was short. The enemy would soon restore their anti-air defenses. There was no time to waste. "Remember, we land south of the city and move northeast immediately," Shaz-Ui Eraka said over comms, his camouflaged cloak making him seem larger than he was. "There is an AA emplacement there. Our orders are to take it out." Strong Strike glanced around the transport. Two other Pathfinder teams sat ready. Alongside them, multiple drones, including recon drones, waited to deploy. "Other teams have their own objectives," Ghost Strike added calmly. "If we complete ours quickly, we move to support. If it's too strong, we call it in. No heroics. Survival is not a failure." He paused. "Once the target is down, we push north to unsecure one of the roads to the city. We intercept and pin any hostile forces. Hold until reinforcements arrive." The troopers nodded. Reka included. "They are not making this approach easy." Dane laughed as the Valkyrie shuddered, an anti-air shell bursting nearby. Lina Vos grimaced, gripping her harness, shooting him an irritated glare. He seemed far too pleased. She looked around the troop bay. Every soldier was a member of a Thorn Guard, encased in heavy plate, reinforced by exoskeletons beneath. Not true power armor, but enough to carry serious firepower. Hellguns, plasma guns, meltas, flamers, even human-made pulse weapons. Shields, chain halberds, and among the officers, power swords. Dane once described them as a force inspired by both the Adepta Sororitas and the Tempestus Scions. Not quite equal, of course, but close. Half the squad sat in disciplined silence. The rest shared Dane's bloodthirsty enthusiasm. The Valkyrie rocked again.
"How do they still have anti-air?"
Lina shouted, her stomach twisting. "They are dug in," Dane said with a grin. "What they had in orbit was about as dangerous as a wet fart in a hurricane. But we can't glass them without making Trios angry." He laughed as another explosion rattled the hull. "So we take the archipelago the hard way, the best way."
"You're enjoying this far too much,"
Lina shot back. "Girl, I haven't even started enjoying myself." Dane shot back with a wide grin. "That comes when we land." As if on cue, the pilot's voice cut in. "ETA 20 seconds. Yellow light. Get ready. The zone is hot." Wouldn't be much of a trip if we froze our freaking balls off. Dane laughed, several troopers joining in. Let's show these motherless scum what a real war looks like. Come on, you bastards! Let them hear your war cry! Pierce and prevail! The Thorn Guard roared as one. The Valkyrie slammed down. In an instant the troops were on their feet, front rows raising their shields and chain spears. Those behind bring weapons up, ready to fire the moment the ramp dropped. Lina and Dane stood 3 rows back. The light turned green. The ramp fell. Crimson bolts screamed overhead, but the front ranks absorbed the fire, shields and heavy armor holding firm. The moment they stepped out, the Thorn Guard answered with disciplined volleys, silencing the defenders. Lina blinked against the sudden sunlight, the dark troop bay giving way to a bright blue sky and harsh summer glare. They had landed on one of the archipelago's islands, river territory. Gunships descended all around them, starfighters clashed above, white sand, green palms, and enemy fortifications. Crude, but not harmless. A heavy repeater opened up, its concentrated fire punching through Thorn Guard armor and dropping one of the elites into the sand. Advance! Dane roared, raising his hand cannon and blasting the emplacement. Don't let them pin you! He surged forward, the Thorn Guard advancing in tight formations, shields up front, gunners behind. Lina followed, watching as concentrated fire forced the enemy gunner into cover. The pressure gave them an opening. Lina, Thunderstrike! Dane shouted. She reacted instantly. Gripping her whip, she drew power through her body, channeling it into the weapon. Electricity danced alongside its thorns as she shifted into stance. Weight back, arm raised, the whip unfurling behind her before snapping forward. She was too far to hit directly. She didn't need to. The whip cracked, and lightning answered. A bolt lands from its tip, striking the emplacement. It shattered on impact, then arced, jumping from gunner to gunner, burning through nerves, blinding, killing. The energy surged into their weapons, overloading packs, igniting Tibanna gas. Thunder followed. The emplacement exploded, torn from the ground, bodies thrown aside. Dane and the Thorn Guard charged through the blast, firing as they advanced, cutting down the survivors. Lina stayed close behind him. One enemy, a human, burned and coughing, reached weakly for his weapon. She moved without thinking. Her kick tore his head clean from his shoulders, sending it spinning into a tree. She paused for a split second. It wasn't her first kill, but it was the first like this, up close with her own body. She felt nothing. No revulsion, no hesitation. Just clarity.
Huh. Guess Dane's training worked.
She fought and kept moving. The former stormtrooper led the charge, hand cannon roaring, power blade carving a path. Flesh or metal, it made no difference. Enemies were torn apart by heavy bolts or cut cleanly in two. The Thorn Guard followed with equal brutality. Hellguns reduced targets to ruin, superheated beams, boiling blood, melting bodies in a single shot. Up close, chain blades screamed to life, ripping through flesh, bone, and alloy alike. Lina showed no mercy. Her new hell pistol proved deadly, while her whip guided her strikes with precise, devastating intent. 6 minutes. That was all it took. The landing zone was clear, every enemy dead or dying. Dane finished off a groaning pirate, wrenching his blade free before turning to his team. "Alright, island's clear. Reinforcements are on the..." A massive explosion cut him off. They turned. On the nearby island, a tank turret spun high through the air, torn free by the blast. Amid the chaos, a figure wreathed in flame moved through enemy ranks like a living inferno. "Looks like Magmar's enjoying himself," Dane chuckled. "Anyway, next island. The main base is deep in the archipelago. We'll clear the defenses one by one before securing it." He reloaded his hand cannon. "Heard Trios is inbound with his Skitari, and Garuk is hitting the fortress from the opposite side with his beastmen." A sharp grin spread across his face. "So, I guess it's a race between 4 groups." He snapped the weapon shut. "And I don't intend to come in last." The Thorn Guard answered with dark laughter, eager for a challenge. Lina found herself smiling too.
Only if those ancient bones of yours hold up,
she teased. More laughter, Dane included, after a brief look of surprise. "It's on," he said, grinning. "I will teach you to respect your elders." He turned towards the distant fortress. "Move out! The enemy won't kill themselves." Still laughing, weapons ready, they pushed forward, walking into the water toward the neck. The battle droid finally went still, its smoking head thudding against the concrete. "Stubborn," Veldenet muttered, lowering her pulse pistol. Strong Strike had to agree. The emplacement itself had been no challenge, the enemy hadn't even scored a glancing hit, but their walking machines were tougher than expected. The ruined droid at their feet proved it. Even with its lower half gone, it had tried to crawl, to find a weapon, to keep fighting. "Admirable," Strong Strike said quietly, watching Shas-Ui Tan Shas plant charges on the AA cannon. "If not, how mindless it is. More single-minded than even the simplest drone. No independence. Nothing like ours." The nearby recon drone answered with a deep, almost baritone beep. "Any time, helper." Strong Strike nodded. The drone had been invaluable, its burst cannon suppressing the defenders so effectively that not a single Tau had been wounded. The defenders had been few, scattered militia and a dozen battle droids. Blinded by the sunburst bombardment, they never saw the Pathfinders coming. They had recovered quickly, but not quickly enough. Eliminating them had been easy. Strong Strike took Overwatch, his ion rifle sweeping the perimeter. "Charges in place," Shas-Ui Dom Era reported. "Good," Era K replied. "Our teams have secured their targets. We move to the rendezvous immediately. Scout drones report an enemy armor column fleeing to the nearby outpost. Double time, warriors." The squad moved as one, leaping from the emplacement and sprinting after the leader, drones gliding close behind. Half a dozen support units accompanied them, far more than usual, and even a shield drone among them. They cut through the forest at speed, their training on Furious Net evident in every step, flowing around obstacles without breaking stride. Strong Strike checked his HUD, golden markers, over teams, closing fast. Moments later he saw them, green-black figures slipping between the trees, armor and cloaks blending perfectly with the lush terrain of Rune. As they climbed a ridge, the ground trembled. 3 distant explosions thundered behind them, the charges detonating in unison. The AA site vanished in fire, along with its ammunition and fortifications. Even if the enemy pushed back, there would be nothing left to reclaim. And, soon enough, Earth-cast fortifications would descend to take its place. They reached the hilltop. Below lay the road to the city, and beyond it, Town Tomb. A proper city, though not a massive one. Buildings clung to the slopes of a towering volcano, rising around a central fortress. A shimmering blue dome shielded it, deflecting the strikes of air-cast vessels above. Missiles, bombs, and scattered fire splashed harmlessly against it. A distraction, Rekka had no doubt. "Enemy approaching," Tan Shas said. 3 tanks, 8 transports. ETA 3 minutes. Set a proper Kauyon formation. We hit hard and pin them for the aircast. She glanced at the newer warriors. "Rekka, Oshivesa, with me, we take the lead tank." Strong Strike nodded, following the veteran down the slope to a firing position with a clear line of sight. 2 rail rifles, 1 ion rifle. Enough, he hoped. "Plan," Tan Shas said calmly. "I take the driver, Oshivesa, anti-grav, Rekka, the turret. Overcharge your shots. Clear?" "Clear, Shasui," they answered together. "Good," the veteran said. "We are here." And they were. 11 vehicles, just as reported. A lead tank, 4 transports, a second tank, 4 more transports, and a final tank bringing up the rear. Strong Strike steadied his aim, helmet optics sharpening the image. "Front tank," he reported. "Cupola open. Human, crew." "Noted. Same targets." The veteran whispered. "Take the commander with your second shot, if you can. On my mark." As he waited, Strong Strike took in more details. The speed upon which the tanks were moving, frantic shouts and gestures of a tank commander and those soldiers visible in their open-top transports. That caught his attention. Open transports were rare when he came from. Only the greenskins used them en masse. So, were these vehicles just poorly designed, or were they repurposed civilian vehicles? He dismissed the thought. Irrelevant. 3, 2, 1. Mark. They fired as one. The AAT detonated. Whether it was a single perfect hit or the combined strike, Strong Strike couldn't tell, but the result was absolute. The hover tank erupted in flame, its commander's body hurled skyward, trailing smoke and gore. The wreck slammed into the road, tumbling in a storm of sparks and debris. The rest of the column panicked. The lead transport swerved, troops spilling out, screaming. Another failed to brake and smashed into the second tank, which lurched forward into the vehicle ahead. Before they could recover, all 3 Pathfinder teams opened fire. Rail rifles and overcharged ion blast hammered the tanks. Pulse carbines tore into the exposed transports. Recon drones surged forward, burst cannons splitting streams of blue fire into the disarrayed enemy. The strike was sudden, devastating. The militia never recovered. With the lead tank gone and the second erupting under concentrated fire, taking 2 transport with it, any semblance of resistance collapsed into chaos. The final tank, smoking and half-crippled, reversed at full speed, firing blindly into the hills, missing everything. 2 surviving transports turned downhill, fleeing towards the forest. The remaining soldiers broke, dropping weapons, running or throwing themselves into ditches. "We surrender!" someone screamed. The Tau shifted targets. Strong Strike fired at the retreating tank, frustration tightening his grip as his shots deflected off its armor. He considered overcharging again, then held back. Too soon to strain the weapon. Rail rifle hits fared little better at this angle, scoring only minimal damage. Even so, the enemy didn't escape. Marker drones lit up the fleeing vehicles, and just as they reached the edge of effective range, 2 tiger sharks dove in, cannons blazing. The tank and transports vanished in fire. Only a handful of soldiers remained, those who had thrown themselves into a ditch, cowering as the Tau advanced. Strong Strike stepped past what was left of a soldier and looked down at them. Less than a dozen, young, not all human, his helmet tagged a few Twi'leks and Duros, the latter uncomfortably similar in form to the Tau, if not for the missing breathing slit. "Drop your weapons and stand," Ghost Strike ordered, his words translated into basic. "You will be searched. Do not resist. Cooperate, and you will be treated fairly." They obeyed. Weapons dropped. Hands raised. The process was swift, less than 10 Raikor. The militia were disarmed, given basic treatment, and marched uphill by another squad to await transport. Strong Strike turned towards the distant city, its surface half hidden beneath a glowing dome. "That's our next target," Veldenet said, stepping beside him, rifle slung over her shoulder. "Yes," he said, making a sign of a charging bull striking a wall. "And this time, they will be ready. Until now we had the advantage of surprise." "We might again," Golden Guardian countered. "They haven't impressed me." "No," Strong Strike admitted with a faint chuckle. "They haven't. But this may still be a challenge." The roar of engines cut through the air. 2 devilfish rounded the bend, gliding toward them. "Squad, mount up," Erakau ordered. "The rest of the cadre is already advancing on the city. These will take us close to the shield. We'll make the final approach on foot." He paused at the hatch, watching his warriors board. "The city shields intervene with anti-grav. No armor support, no drones." His tone hardened. "Stay low, do not engage without orders. If we are spotted, every gun they have will turn on us." As the last trooper climbed in, Ghost Strike followed. The hatch sealed. "Understood?" "Yes, Shasui." The devilfish surged forward, toward the shield, and the fight to come. "Sith rotten balls!" Zeno cursed under his breath. "I think the guys from Tezi Outpost just got wiped." Kuri looked toward the distant hill. Smoke was rising, thick, dark, but at this distance, details were lost. The blue bastards are hitting everything at once," the militiaman muttered. "Everything but the city itself." "That will change," Sergeant Olerg said grimly, eyes on the heavy weapons team. A pair of heavy repeaters, a cannon, and a mortar were set on a rooftop. Wide, round, commercial structure positioned along a major road leading deeper into the city. A perfect firing position. Anything attempting to push through would be shredded by overlapping fields of fire from this and other strongpoints. "I'm hearing chatter they are encircling the city," Olerg said, "taking out every outpost and base as they go." "One hell of a way to raise morale, sir," Zeno deadpanned. The sergeant gave a short chuckle. "Relax. 500,000 soldiers and droids are defending the city. With the shields up, they can only send infantry and walkers, and those will pick off one by one. It will take time, but we will grind them down." Kuri opened his mouth to respond, then paused. Something flickered on a nearby rooftop. A glimmer. a shadow. He blinked and it was gone. He frowned and stepped closer to the edge, scanning the surrounding buildings. Huri? Zeno asked. Huh? Oh. He shook his head. Nothing. I thought I saw something. Must be the bombardment still messing with my eyes. Then go rest them, Olerk ordered. Last thing I need is a gunner hallucinating mid-battle. Yes, sir. Huri saluted and moved toward the back of the roof. He lay down, closing his eyes. If he kept them open a moment longer, he might have seen them. Shimmering shapes moving across the rooftops in absolute silence. Dozens of stealth suits, ghosts slipping through the city unnoticed. Invisible killers, waiting for the right moment to strike. Xylox cursed under his breath, looking at the hologram. How? Why? The Tau were assaulting his fortress, a fortress of a black sun. And more than that, they were jamming all local communications. He was cut off from the rest of the galaxy. Shizor. He muttered the name of his hated rival. I know you are responsible for this, you venomous snake. He had no idea how the upstart managed to convince the Tau to attack the fortress of a black sun, but once he get off this accursed rock, he will be sure to strip him of all titles and privileges. After that, he will have his head mounted on a pike above this very fortress main gate. They are pulling back, sir, his commander reported. We managed to push them back. Xylox nodded, satisfied. Good. Status of the shield generator? He asked. Close to full power, sir. The enemy didn't even bother to attack the shields directly. They clearly know they can't brute force it. Commander answered. Good. Make sure that... He cut himself off as he saw a sizable transport ship appear on the sensors. It wasn't the typical Manta that deployed the first wave of attackers. No, this one was far larger and was accompanied by several more transports. Reinforcements, he spat. Make sure main cannons are ready. Whatever they try to send through, I want it destroyed. Yes, my prince, the commander smiled. You don't need to worry. Whatever we are going to send, we will... He fell silent as his eyes widened, as he saw a massive shape being deployed from the transport. Xylox was also stunned into silence as a giant touched down and then began to move. By the many moons of Yego, Xylox whispered, fear creeping into his voice. The monster walked through the forest, toppling trees in its wake, one step at a time, uncaring about all obstacles. In moments, it reached the barrier and passed through it. They saw how all guns opened fire, and as all harmlessly broke upon the shield of a giant walker, who stopped, changed its stance, aimed, and fired. Ground shook, and Xylox was sent to the ground and into the embrace of darkness, as alarms announcing a massive breach cried out throughout the base. Farseer Shinue sat in her chamber, legs crossed, eyes closed. 6 warlocks sat around her, totally silent, awaiting to fulfill her every command. Through her psychic senses, she felt the Solaris light cruiser depart Tau orbit, escorted by 3 emissary vessels. The young Arcia were cautious, but respectful. A point in their favor, however a small one. Still, she swallowed her pride. They needed them now, more than ever. Since what the younger species called the Great Displacement, she had been forced to accept a new reality. Not only of a different galaxy, but shattered webway and unfamiliar Shael. The great enemy, the she who thirsts, was not here. Her talons could not reach them. Yet this galaxy was not safe. It was calmer, more measured, but beneath that calm she sensed a living darkness. Not chaos, not truly, but something akin to it. Something that could corrupt, erode, consume. Lacking sentience, perhaps, but no less dangerous. They would have to be careful, or risk a second and final fall. They were so few, a handful. Compared to the countless peoples of this galaxy, they were a grain of sand in an endless desert. But even a grain could ride the winds of fate toward an oasis. She touched her spirit stone, wondering at its meaning in this new reality. Her thoughts drifted briefly to Spirit Seer Sephiron Silan and the Inari, and the troubling whispers surrounding their vision of the future. Shinue exhaled softly. Then she reached out, the warlocks silently supporting her effort. With immense psychic precision, she made contact. 3 shimmering figures appeared in her mind's eye. White, orange, and deep blue. All turned toward her. The ease of it struck her, but she remained composed. The Tau have agreed to meet at the designated site, she said. We will discuss the terms of our pact. Inform High Emissary Ellen Nightblight to prepare her retinue. She must be among the lead voices. The white figure flared with anger and disgust. The others remained steadier. After a moment, the white subsided, reluctantly. I understand your anger, Shinue said calmly, addressing them. But as we agreed, we have no choice. A reluctant acknowledgement followed. The orange figure pulsed with amusement, curiosity, eagerness. They are grateful to the Sunblitz Brotherhood and your Corsairs for cooperating. Shinue continued. The corporations had to be provoked into action so the Tau could bring them into compliance. The agreed resources are already en route to Tortugar. The Tau have even offered support in securing the world for your use. The orange figure considered that, then dismissed it. Shinue inclined her head. So did the others. The blue figure spoke. Its presence felt like a garden the size of a world, and the threat of something vast and unknowable beneath it. Yes, she answered. The battle has been joined, and the Tau are winning, as predicted. Her gaze shifted to a wraithbone pendant at her wrist. Now everything rests with the Pathless. The blood beast must survive this conflict. They are essential to the future and to the Shadow Point. A pause. If they fail, any hope we have for survival, for starting anew, will be lost. As will be all who call those strange stars their home. All the shimmering figures nodded in agreement. They saw it too. The countless branching possibilities of a shadow point. Even now Shinue could perceive it. A convergence where future collided in chaotic conflict, and the fate of an entire galaxy balanced on the edge. It was the duty of the Eldari to ensure this galaxy stepped back from the abyss, rather than follow their own into oblivion. The dark blue figure spoke again, its tone calm, almost gentle. Shinue allowed herself a faint smile. True. For now, all we can do is wait, and prepare for the report, whether it brings success or failure. She inclined her head slightly. I'm already en route. We will speak again soon. The three figures nodded and faded from her mind. Shinue rose, warlocks bowing their heads with endless respect. She left the chamber and made her way to the bridge. As she entered, she saw their escort peeling away, the distant shape of a Tau fortress station shrinking against the void. She said nothing. Words were unnecessary. Their psychic link sufficed. The captain heard her command. Then, as if cut open by Cain's blade, reality tore. The chariot of Hoek slipped through the breach into another dimension. Shinue looked out, momentarily stunned by the stillness. In their own galaxy, slipping into Shael had to be brief and was perilous. Here it was almost effortless. The vessel moved across a formless sea, carried by currents of thought and will. The psychic might of the Eldari guided it with precision, reading the tides of reality long before danger could form. Shinue gazed into the depths. She saw regions of flux, storms twisting in impossible patterns, overs boiling with unstable energy, echoes of an anomaly that had thrown them into this galaxy, and beneath it all, the whisper of another storm yet to come. Greetings, my dear viewers and listeners. Apologies for the pause in the uploads, my darlings. I had to deal with some personal problems, mostly connected to my health. I am more or less fine, but there are many other things to take care of, so I'm unsure how the upload schedule will look like in the coming weeks. Still, I somehow managed to write episode 18 and upload it, so clearly I'm not out of the fight just yet. I hope you enjoyed it. It wasn't maybe as combat heavy as the last episode, but I hope you still enjoyed the initial landing and few fun reveals of the episode. Including, but not limited to, that the accusations of the Trade Federation regarding Tau being responsible for Eldar corsairs attacking their fleets weren't unfounded. As it turns out, the Tau are more insidious than some people expected. Who could have predicted this? I most definitively didn't hint at this being the case. As usual, I'm sending my thanks to Tia Boba, also known as Luffy, for voicing Lina Voss. You are doing tremendous job with this character. Similar thanks needs to be directed towards the artists, whose work brings life to my story. Hayden Lumpkin, 3D Vincents, Xavi, Real Mac is Love, Cubic Curator, and Makawi. And if you want our art gallery to grow, I must direct you to my Ko-fi page, where I've already started gathering funds for the initial art pieces for Season 2. We are close to the goal, but remember, the more in the budget, the more art and voice actors I can commission. Similarly, if you would like to support me directly, visit my Patreon or the merch store. On the same note, I would like to thank my highest tier supporters on Patreon: Michael Pellison, Josh Travis, Cell, Psab, Erisda9, Saragusta, Boromir117, and Heimko. I tip my hat to all of you. Finally, as usual, Q&As. Put Q&A on top of your comment, one question per person, ask whatever you like. But do please check the previous Q&A. There is a link to a list to all previously asked questions. Look through them, because if you ask the question I've already answered, you will be ignored. That's clear? Great. No requests for shorts or anything else this time. Next video will be next episode of Your Homebrews and mini semi-scripted rant about my old experiences in writing, why I stopped writing in Polish and moved to English. I need change of pace, I think. Other than that, remember to like, comment, subscribe and ring that bell. I am eager to hear your thoughts about the Battle of Rune and series as a whole. But I think that's it for today. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed. Now, my dear viewers and listeners, remember, wherever you are, whatever you do, try to enjoy yourself while you can. I wish you most heretical day. Ta-ta!